I actually had,
That's the
Okay.
recording.
Okay.
very good. So I actually had one question though, on something you had mentioned on our last Zoom.
Okay.
You had mentioned the idea of opening up either a second DBA or a second LLC that would act as the purchasing company for the cars and then lease them to the company.
That's depending on how you want to invest it. Yes.
Mhm.
So what is the advantage? I just wanted to get a clearer picture. What is the advantage of doing that?
David, you want to run with it or you want me to?
Go ahead.
The advantage to it is you're setting up a another company that takes the responsibility for finance and can attract investors and so on. And can create an income for that entity. Let's say it was DeVore Finance
Yeah,
or DeVore Holdings. All right. So DeVore Holdings, everybody can put their money into DeVore Holdings, and then that DeVore can go out and buy the cars
right,
and lease them directly to the rental car company.
Right.
right,
Mhm.
Then the rental car company doesn't have to deal with depreciation, nothing. It's all expenses.
Yeah, just
And-
straight expense.
Yeah, it's just an expense. The depreciation
yeah,
goes to the holding company,
yeah,
which has assets, but is not going to make any money because its depreciation is going to eat it up. Therefore, you protect yourself for some taxes.
So how would that work in terms of the depreciation eating it up?
We're going
Yeah, we're gonna get into that today. yeah.
Okay,
we're
fine,
gonna get
very
into
good.
that today.
Okay,
And because for all the money that's capitalized on depreciation, you don't have to pay tax on it,
right,
whether it's the rental car company or the leasing company.
so in the event that you have that DeVore funding company,
Yeah,
where let's say we had brought in partners on it or we borrowed money for that to purchase cars.
correct.
So any interest that we might be paying is not coming from your drive, DeVore Group DBA, your drive. It's coming from DeVore Financing to the lenders.
Correct.
And that money is being accumulated by DeVore Funding, getting money on the lease that it is providing to your drive.
Correct.
One of the big mistakes that a lot of rental car companies make is they'll go out when they're first starting out and they'll buy 5 cars for cash.
Right,
And then they start setting up their books that way that they're going to buy everything for cash. Well, the cash
Right.
goes down every week,
right,
every day, every month. But if it's actually making a lease payment to the holding company, all right, then the holding company is accumulating the cash from the payments and restoring the cash that it used to buy those cars. So that at the end of 12 months or 24 months, they have the capital to go out and get another car, and the rental car company just turns it over, and any profit can be split between the two companies.
That's right.
And there's ways to do that.
and then the in let's say 2 or 3 years, when you're ready to sell the car, so it's the DeVore Funding entity that's recognizing that sale as well.
Right. For instance, the car at the end of the term could have a book value of $20,000.
Mhm.
So the rental car company would sell it back to the leasing company at a pre-agreed price,
Mhm.
which could be $20,500.
Mhm.
So the rental car company picks up $500.
Mhm.
Then the holding company takes it to the auction. They take the risk that the car may not be worth $20,500.
Mhm.
But after doing it for several years, you'll be able to put together, a compatible program. And if
Right.
they sell it for 21,000, both of you make 500.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Okay. fine.
Yep.
Very good, got it. Okay,
David, do you want to add to that?
Well, just a small part. When you've got the two companies, you put yourself on salary on both,
mhm,
right? And so you're getting another tax write-off on that.
interesting.
And you're setting up, what you're doing there is eliminating a bridge from the registered owner to the legal owner on the car,
Correct.
okay? So in other words, you make a rental, something happens, some lawyer jumps into this thing and says that, they're going to file suit against the registered owner, or excuse me, the owner of the car, right? Well, the owner of the car is the leasing, is the leasing company, not the rental company, and the leasing company has no knowledge
Nor
or
asset.
control over what the rental car company does.
Right.
You get me? So you've got a little further protection to protect DeVore a little bit better.
Why wouldn't they be able to sue the rental company itself?
Well, they
Well,
can,
of course they can, but only if you're negligent. Remember Jim discussed negligent entrustment?
Yes,
So they could sue you, but it would have to be negligence, all right, for something like that. But even if they did, the rental company generally has no assets.
mhm,
Think about it a minute. Your location is leased.
right,
Your cars are leased.
right,
You may have a couple thousand operating capital at any one time in the leasing, in the rental company.
right,
But that's it. You've got
Right.
no assets.
right.
All right, so anybody that was doing an asset search to find some deep pockets to sue, they wouldn't find it in DeVore Auto Rental.
And if they then went to the funding company, which is the leasing company, then they can say, we're not responsible because, like you said, we have no idea what the company does with the car.
Absolutely. We have no idea, and we have no control over what the rental company does. All right. So it's just another way to eliminate a bridge over to your actual finance source.
Got it. Okay, very good. All right, so,
When I was running Dollar Rent-A-Car, there were corporations all over the place. Each location was a separate corporation. And we had like 6 corporately owned locations that I had to manage.
yeah,
San Francisco, Los Angeles, and 6 different corporations. I got
Right.
6 different fleet runs.
right, right.
And interestingly enough, one of my fleet runs had an item on it called the Arrivederci. And I asked the CFO, what the heck is the Arrivederci? Well, that's the owner's 87-foot yacht. And he got it financed by Ford Motor Credit back in the days where we were one of their biggest clients.
So did he
It was
name his
awesome.
yacht? Did he name his yacht after the company, or did he name the company after his yacht?
No, yeah, right. So anyhow, I had to pay for that damn thing. That was on my fleet run, and that was part of my unit cost.
Wow.
And I thought it was bad enough when I had to pay for the Rolls-Royce convertible that his wife drove.
Wow. All right.
Anyhow, that happens. All right,
Question.
so-
Where did
Yeah.
we leave off? I think we left off at profit builders, didn't we, David?
I don't think we started profit builders.
Right.
Did we get into any of the metrics of how to make money in the business, Steve?
No,
No, we didn't.
Okay.
I think we talk about rates and how to, the various rates around the country, et cetera, the GDS system rates, Travelocity,
No.
Expedia.
no.
Okay, so we have to do rates and profit builder, Jim.
Got it.
We spent a lot of time on insurance. I think that's why,
That's right, yeah.
And that's okay. That is not a waste of time, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So rates and profit builder kind of go together. I would like, if at all possible, I would like Pace to also sit in on profit builder. Do you expect him soon?
Let me message him right now. Let me message him.
Do we want to start with rates, Jim, or do you want to go right to profit builder?
I think we did rates already, didn't we?
No, he says no.
We didn't do this one?
That we did, yes.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, good. All
That we
right,
did,
so we're going to write with profit builder.
Yep. Okay, that we did not do.
the GDS.
GDS we did not do, but I don't
Okay.
know if it's really going to be relevant to us, but we can talk about it.
Well, it will be. It's going to be relative.
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're up to.
Well, we can start talking about this, David.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry?
Yeah, let's start with GDS rates.
You got it. Okay. And that's me?
Yep,
All right. GDS reservation systems, Steve.
Mhm.
GDS is the Global Distribution System. That was started, or that is the airline reservation systems that originally called Apollo, and
Mhm.
another one, I forget the name.
Sabre.
Pardon me?
Sabre,
Sabre, right.
American
And
Airlines.
those are the two basic systems. Through the years, they've allowed other operators access to those systems. And those other operators are like you see, Kayak, Travelocity, Expedia, Orbitz.
Mhm.
All right. So when you go to either one of these, all right, and go to look for car rental, and they're going to pop, all the car rental companies are going to pop up.
Right,
Now, this is for airport operations. They don't generally allow local locations on there.
right.
There's quite an expense. If you wanted to get on, you could not financially. You're looking at about $500,000 to get listed on one of these systems.
Wow.
So it would not make any sense at all.
And you
Yeah.
have to be in 21 airports.
Yeah.
You have to be in 21 airports in order to qualify to be on this?
That's correct.
Wow.
All right. So the other thing is a reservation that comes through the GDS system comes with a cost.
Yeah.
And the reservation expense is typically 35%
Mhm.
of the rental. All right. So you're not going to have access to it, but it has it. You need to know about it. Why? Because whatever rate structure you set up, customers are going to say, well, it's cheaper at the airport. I saw it on Travelocity.
Mhm.
So you want to know what they're doing on there. Now, you're somewhat distant from an airport, right?
Yes.
All right. So, internally to yourself, you can say, okay, go rent at the airport.
Right.
But renting at an airport is a very complicated and uncomfortable experience if you're local.
Right.
All right. Where do you go? Where do you park? You get in the line with everybody else, blah, blah, blah. The other thing is most of the big airport operators nowadays don't want to rent to local people.
Right. That we touched on. Yes.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned when I rented from Dollar Rent-A-Car in Chicago just before the pandemic, they wanted to see my driver's license, my insurance card, my credit card, and my return air ticket.
Right.
They didn't want to rent to local people in Chicago, and a local person could have an out-of-state driver's license for a while.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
when you're taking a look at this, you might want to take a look at one of the GDS systems in close to you. or at an airport close to you, just so you have an idea what's going on.
Now, there is also one of the companies that I met at the show in Vegas. I don't remember the name of it offhand. I have it written here somewhere. Was a company that basically tracks all of the local rates, and excuse me, you can pay them a monthly fee,
Yeah,
and they send you daily or multiple times throughout the day. I think he said you can set it up however
Right.
often you want to receive the reports, and it's basically tracking all the rates from all the companies in your area.
that's right. Now, typically, they're gonna give you the Hertz Avis National Enterprise, et cetera.
Right.
All right, my suggestion is this, and fine if you can prove me wrong. Your competition is gonna be Enterprise. You can get their rate daily
Yeah.
by yourself. Just go on the internet,
Right.
want to rent a car in Tom's River,
Right.
whatever your town, and bang, there it is,
Right.
and for free.
Right.
And I can give you the list of their rates right now. All right. And we'll get into it. In Tom's River, all right, a full-size car is $90.18 a day. All right.
What David's saying is you don't need to pay for it.
You don't need to pay for it. Right.
No, it's right
Yeah, I
there.
got the message.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't take but 10 minutes to get their entire rate structure.
Right.
Now, understand, their rate structure can change daily, weekly,
Right.
all right? You want to take a look at a Monday, Tuesday rental. You might want to look at a Friday, Saturday rental and see the difference, if there is any. I did that and there was no difference.
Uh-huh.
So what I was seeing at the time, now that was done a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I didn't see a weekend special on their rate structure.
Right. Nowadays, now none of them are having weekend specials at this point in time, just because there's really low availability of cars.
Yeah,
Right.
well, you'll see as the rates go up, that means something's going on
Right.
and business is high. When the rates go down, that tells you there's not much going on
Right.
and they're trying to attract whatever business they can get.
Right.
All right, so that's the best way to do it. I would not pay a fee. You certainly can, but I wouldn't do it.
Right.
Never done it in my life. I just go to the internet. It's all free and easy.
Right. Okay.
All right. Coming down, I don't have the next one myself. All right, so now we've already decided whether you're going to be a used car operator or a rental operator, right?
Right. Right.
We already went through that process.
We're going, in terms of what? We're going to be an independent rental operator.
Right. Okay, good. Now you're more interested in revenue per car for a period of time.
Yeah.
And we're going to say that you're going to hold your cars for 2 years. You know what the car is going to be worth at the end of 2 years. You know what
Yeah.
the mileage is going to be. So you're going to squeeze the last dollar out of every rental car
Right.
for
Right.
that period of time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a look at how we make money in the business. Profit builders is the term we call it. There are 3 profit centers in the car rental business, Steve. The first profit center is your rental rate. The rate all by itself has to be a profit center in your business. You can't give away a car for cheap and hope to make the profit up somewhere else. We don't do that.
Okay.
The second profit center is option sales.
Mhm.
That's the things you sell the customer after the rental. And the third is fleet sales. You should make money on the sale of your cars when you're done with them.
But that's not going to happen until year 3.
Correct. But you want to have it planned properly in the beginning.
Yeah,
We don't wait and see in this business. We do it in advance. We know what we're going to do.
right.
And you could say goal setting. I don't like to set goals. I like to say, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah,
All right. So we're going to go now take a look at the first profit center. And we're going to come down to chart. Jim. Down to the chart, profit builders, here we go. Now, on the left-hand side, Steve, the SIP class, SIPP, that's the standard industry practice and procedure. And looking down, you will see 6 classifications of cars. The industry typically classifies the cars by size, not by price, typically. And this is done because the travel agents back in the day when they did most of the bookings wanted to know what size car their customer was going to get. What size car should I book?
right.
Right. So we did this. So we have the e-car as the economy car, the compact car, the intermediate car, the full-size car, the minivan, and the SUV.
Okay.
Now, there are many more categories today. In the SUV, there might be 3 or 4. In the minivan, there might be
Right.
2 or 3. We're
Right.
just gonna work on the basic 6.
Okay,
Now, what do you classify as, let's say, a compact car? Well, everybody might be doing it a little different today. All right. But obviously, you let's say you take a Nissan Altima.
yeah.
No. What's the bottom beta Nissan? I don't forget what it is.
Nissan Sentra.
Sentra. You take a Sentra and park it next to a BMW 320i.
Yeah,
The Nissan's bigger.
right.
All right. So understand that when you get into that type of car, your Mercedes, your Nissans, your Mercedes, your BMWs, et cetera, those are specialty cars. They don't follow this pattern.
Right. Okay.
All right, so you might put a Nissan Sentra in a compact, another operation might put it in intermediate. You'll
Uh-huh.
see that if you start watching the enterprise rate structure.
Mhm.
You'll see how they're categorizing. Typically, they're trying to categorize the car a little higher. So what we used to call a compact, they're now trying to call it an intermediate.
Mhm.
All right. And so you'll see that. Unit cost. Now, what we've done here is we are setting up a fantasy fleet of 20 cars
Mhm.
in this. We'll try to break it down a little closer to what you are doing as we go.
Mhm.
And customers say, well, what should I pay for a car? Well, first off, we already discussed you don't buy new cars.
Mhm.
All right. Oh, you certainly can. And we're going to get into that a little bit later, how you price that out.
Okay.
But typically speaking, we're looking for maybe a 2 or 3 year old car.
Mhm.
So if we were doing that, we would say, okay, what would the unit cost be? That's the cost of the car
Mhm.
in each of these categories. So we would say that in a compact car, we want to spend no more than about 9,000.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to go up to a $10,000 car for right now. By the way, what are you paying for cars that you've looked at, Steve?
So right now, the used car market is almost as expensive as the new car market. Obviously, it's
right.
not typical industry. It's only due to COVID.
Right.
So in that case, we were looking at new cars already, since if you're going to be spending that kind of money for a few more dollars, might as well get a new car. So,
Right.
for example, hypothetically looking at, let's say a Hyundai Elantra was
Yeah.
about 21,000. Hyundai Sonata is about 25,000. So
Okay,
that's the price range that we were pretty much looking at for now. We
All
haven't
right.
we haven't priced out anything, I guess that would be considered like an economy car less than, for now, the Hyundai Elantra. And
Okay.
and I'm safely assuming that the Kia models that are equivalent are at about the same price range as
Same
well.
price.
Same factory, yeah. Okay, so let's,
These numbers, by the way, these numbers are pre-COVID numbers.
Yeah,
And I believe that in the heartbeat after the first of the year, we may be going back to these kind of numbers. So
Okay.
we've made a decision to use the pre-COVID numbers as examples.
right, okay,
right,
The important
Yeah.
thing is that you pick up the format.
right. The formula.
Calculations.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So let's take, for example, this $18,000 car, because
Right.
it's gonna be closer to what you're doing.
Okay,
So what we're saying here is if I'm gonna go out and buy an SUV, I'm looking for my unit cost to be about 18,000.
okay,
Now, in your case, it could be a full size or a intermediate at 18, you're paying 21. We're close enough right now.
right, right.
All right, now what we have to do is establish what we call a target revenue. And you come from the garment industry, I think you understand that. When you are making something, you're saying, what can I sell this for?
Mhm.
All right, what's my revenue going to be on
Mhm.
this particular garment?
Mhm.
All right. So how do you do that in the car rental business? This is a missing piece in the car rental business. The target revenue should be about 10% per month
Mhm.
of the purchase price of the car. All right. So if you're going out there buying a car and the car is going to cost you 18,000, you say to yourself, how much money do I need per month on that car? It's 1,800.
Right.
All right, now we're going to say, okay, what's the daily rate? We're going to assume that you're going to get 24 rental days per month on that car.
Mhm.
There's obviously 6 days you're not going to be charging,
Right,
but that still leaves you 24.
right.
And that converts to 80% utilization.
Yeah,
And you remember this is utilization is over at the airline industry, the hotel industry is occupancy. So we're all right in the same area.
yeah.
So now you're going to say, okay, I'm going to make it for 24 rental days. So I'm going to take the $1,800 that I need per month and divide it by the number of rental days I'm going to get, 24. So I need $75 a day
Mhm.
on that car. Can I get it? Well, when I'm looking at Enterprise, they're getting 77.86 a day base rate.
Mhm.
All right. So we're in line. All right, we're in line on this 18,000. You know, you're not above that much. You're at 21. So I'll show you another way to go. Incidentally, on an SUV, they're $100 a day.
Mhm.
On a compact SUV, which is a RAV4, they're 95 a day. So they're up there pretty good.
Right,
Right? Okay, so that's the basic formula that you want to keep in mind.
right. So basically, you want to be able to pay off the vehicle in 10 months. Anything
Yeah.
over and above that is gravy.
It's yours, yeah.
And
Car's paid off.
then in 2 years, you're selling that car. That's where you're really getting that profit back.
That's right.
No,
You're getting it everywhere.
thank you.
Yeah, you get your profit on a monthly basis. On
Right.
your
No, that
rate.
I understand, but I'm saying you really get a chunk back once you sell that car.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into that.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
All right, so this is the basic formula I'd like you to remember.
Yep.
And let's take yours. You pay $21,000. So we're going to want 2,100 a month.
Right,
We're gonna divide it by 24.
right,
So you need to get about $87 a day on that car.
right,
So what are we gonna do? One way we can do it is to move that car into the full-size category,
yeah,
all right, where Enterprise is about $90.
right,
And that's how we do that. All right.
Yep.
Now you're in the car pretty strong. Anything you can do to get that purchase price down will be to your benefit.
right,
All right. How this is basically set up in advance, this formula or this metric is set up, was done, I was taught this in the late 60s and it's worked all the way through. It's set up so that we show this. 1/3 of your revenue is your fleet cost.
mhm.
1/3 of your revenue goes to overhead,
Hold on a second.
and 1/3 of your revenue is pure profit in your pocket. Okay?
Yep,
All right, so that's the way we try to do that. Okay. The one other method of looking at it would be this. I would say that if you know what your monthly payment is going to be, but you couldn't care less about the capitalized cost, the
Right.
cost of the car. Let's say that would be leasing. When they lease a car to you, I'm gonna give you this car for $465 a month.
right,
All right, fine, I don't care. It's a closed-in lease or open lease, doesn't matter. If it's open, you care a little bit more about the cap cost. All right, so what do? You take the monthly payment times 3 for your monthly revenue per car. So let's say that you're gonna lease this car for $500 a month.
right,
Your revenue per month on that car needs to be 3 times that,
right,
1,500.
okay,
Divided by 24 rental days gives you your rate. Get it?
so that would be, in this case, that would be 1,500, for example, divided by 24 is $62.50.
There's the daily rate you need on that car to maintain a 33+% profit.
Right,
So we're planning our profit before we start renting.
right,
All right. We don't put a car in the fleet and see what happens, because I'll tell you what happens. It's ugly.
yeah,
All right. I've been
Gotcha.
seeing it for 40 years. All
mhm,
right. So you want to know exactly what's going to happen when you start it. Now, the main thing is this: once you have set up your fleet in this manner with this metric, the only job you have now is to market your business to get the 24 rental days. That's all you need to do.
mhm,
You can forget everything else. All right. If you think you're only going to do 21 rental days, then you divide the monthly revenue that you need by 21 to get the daily rate, and you'll see it's substantially higher.
So you can play with the formula according to the exact market in that location.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay. All right. So now we want to go to unit cost, gross profit. We want to talk about gross profit. What is my gross profit? Your gross profit is something that you really should keep in mind Your gross profit is very simple. It's the monthly revenue less the monthly cost of the car.
Mhm.
Because they say, how do I figure out my cost? What do you mean cost of the car? It was 21,000. No one. The cost of the car was your monthly payment.
Mhm.
All right. And so now what are we going to figure that to be? Let's take basically our $21,000 car down at the bottom,
Mhm.
because Jim has gone to the effort to throw that in for us.
Mhm.
All right. The monthly revenue on that $21,000 car should be $2,100 a month.
Mhm.
Our payment on that car with typical car rental financing
Mhm.
would be $630 a month. All right, now, how is that done? The payment would be in two part. Your principal payment would
Mhm.
be 2.5% of the purchase price of the car.
Mhm.
And your interest is going to be 6% plus.
Mhm.
You're not going to get a 3% deal
Mhm.
on auto financing in the rental business. So if you put the two together, you've got a monthly payment of 3% of the purchase price of the car.
Yep.
All right. So in this particular case, all right, our payment is going to be $630 a month.
Mhm.
So if you take the $630 a month out of the 2,100 we're generating, your gross profit on that car is $1,470 a month.
Mhm.
Now, out of that, all we do is take out our overhead,
Mhm.
and the rest of it's in our pocket.
Right.
All right.
Yep.
So that's how that particular thing works. Now, on the other hand, you can say, all right, if my payment's 630, I'm going to triple that. So I want 1,890 per month,
Mhm.
and I'm going to divide that by 24. So I need $78.75
Mhm.
per day on that car.
Right.
So they're going to come in, both of the metrics will come in actually fairly close.
Mhm.
Whether you go 3 times the monthly payment or 10% of the purchase price, they come in fairly close.
Right. Okay.
But either one works.
Right.
The key to that is we're holding the fleet cost to 33% of rental revenue.
Right.
Okay. Now this is a sample. All right. This is something for you to work with as you grow your fleet.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions so far, Steve?
No, I'm with you.
Okay. All right, let's take a look at the fleet gross profit estimated for 20 cars. Now, this is just an example, but I want you to do the same thing for yourself. All right. As you start getting cars,
Mhm.
we put together a fantasy fleet of 20 cars,
Mhm.
and we included the economy car and all of that. And we went by the purchase price we suggested.
Right.
It's quite a bit lower than you're paying right now. That's okay. And the revenue based on the purchase price of the cars.
Mhm.
We did the estimated payments on 20 cars of $7,140. All right, we came with the gross profit of $16,660 a month on a 20-car fleet.
Mhm.
And that converts to $199,920 a year.
Mhm.
So on a little 20-car fleet, we're making $200,000 a year.
Right.
Now, all you do is take out the overhead that you think you might have, and the rest of it's in your pocket.
Right.
Now, yours, I'm saying, would be substantially higher because you're not going to have an economy car, I don't imagine.
Right.
All right.
Not in the beginning.
The higher level of car you have, the higher rates you're bringing in, the
Right.
higher averages are going to be.
Right.
So your numbers can be substantially more than this. But according to our sample, 100, 200 grand a year on a 20-car fleet is pretty easy to get. And it's a pretty nice number.
Mhm.
You can almost live on it.
What's that last column? Add RCP, $7.
If, right, this is a kind of a teaser. If you sell renter's collision protection to people who don't have collision insurance,
Mhm,
and you said it did it 33% of the time
mhm.
and made $7 a sale or per day, that would add 1,120 a month to this sample,
Right,
another 13,440 in your pocket.
right,
So now we're hitting 213,000
right,
on just the rental rate and that one item
right.
on this little 20-car fleet.
Gotcha.
Any questions?
No, I'm with you.
It's really important that you understand the metric. Now, bottom line, Steve, you run your business, you make the decisions that you want to make for yourself.
Mhm,
But we want you to have the metrics, the plan, how this should be set up in advance.
mhm.
You just use your numbers. Okay?
Understood. Understood.
Understand that anything you reduce, let's say that you need $78 a day on a car, but you're going to rent it for 69. Remember, that comes out of profit.
Understood.
All right.
Yep.
So in the first year, maybe you're not going to do a 33% net, but
Right.
if your overhead is less than 33%,
Right.
then the reduction, the amount that's below 33% will kick over to profit.
Right.
Okay. All right, so now let's take a look at the second profit center, which is option sales. All right, we've listed the 4 basic options that we have here. Let's go back up. There we go. The 4 basic ones, and we're going to go through that. Now here, how do we know how much money we can actually make on renter's collision protection or any of the other stuff? The way you do it is you have to understand rental days. All right, we're going back to where we were a day or two ago.
Mhm.
All right, so what we're going to say here is in our 20-car fleet at 80% utilization, we will have 480 rental days. That's 24 days a month times 20 cars.
Oh, okay, so that's per month. I was wondering where
Yeah.
480 came from.
So that's where we're at. If you have 2 cars,
Yeah.
you have 48 rental days,
Right.
24 for each.
Right.
Okay. Now, we're saying here, first off on RCP, we're going to buy it for 18. We're going to sell it for 25. So we have a net profit of $7 per day on that sale.
Mhm,
And we're going to sell it 33% of the time.
mhm,
That's all. Only 3 out of 10.
mhm,
That equals 160 rental days.
mhm.
Times the $7 a day is 1,120 a month.
Mhm.
13,440 per year in profit. There's no cost. You've already taken out the cost. All right, because you paid 18, but you collected 25. So you've made 7. So there's your 13,004.
Mhm.
All right, authorized driver. Can my brother drive? Absolutely. And the additional driver fee is only $15 a day. We'll just put it on the rental agreement.
Mhm.
All right. We're figuring that to be about 20% of sales, especially if you're renting minivans.
Mhm.
So that converts to 96 rental days. That's another 1,440 a month.
Mhm.
17,280 a year, just in additional driver charges. All right, do you rent to people under 25? Absolutely. And the underage fee is only $15 a day. When did you want the car? See how simple this stuff should flow,
Right.
all right?
So when we have our insurance policy with US Choice allows us to be able to rent to under 25.
Absolutely. You can go to 21.
So
lower than-
anybody between 21 to 25 is our decision, is at our discretion to charge that additional fee.
Absolutely.
And if
But
all the
if you wanna-
competition is doing it, then we're doing it.
But see, if you want to rent between 21 and 25, your risk is higher, so you're entitled to a fee.
Right,
Enterprise charges $25 a day
right.
for an additional driver.
Right.
We're only,
Now, in a situation where it's a insurance rental. So let's say my car got into an accident, the insurance company is renting me a car, and I want my wife to be able to drive it as well. In that situation, would she also be required to be signed on, or is she?
no, I'm glad you brought it up. We're talking about an authorized driver. No. We do not charge husband, wife.
Okay,
They've still got to be listed on the rental agreement, but we don't
Yeah.
charge them the additional driver fee.
okay,
Now, nowadays, we don't call it husband, wife, we call it spouse,
right,
because sometimes you won't know which one is the husband and which one is the wife.
right,
There's times I wanted to ask, but I didn't want to get beat up.
right.
It's none of my business. All right, so yes, we charge everybody, but we do not charge husband, wife.
But a partner would get charged if they're not legally married.
Yeah, if they say they are, I believe them, Steve. I
Right,
don't want
and-
to ask, and I don't want to see a marriage license.
Right, okay,
In Seattle and San Francisco, we did so much business to the gay population.
yeah,
I didn't want to offend anybody. It was wonderful business. They
okay,
were good people. Sometimes they were absolutely hilarious.
yeah,
I was running the Seattle location for Dollar when Seattle had the first gay rights parade.
yeah,
And we were advertising in a feeder market. That's the market where we get a lot of business from. And that was San Francisco.
yeah,
And we didn't realize that the advertisements we were doing in San Francisco was in a gay newspaper.
yeah,
So when the parade came up, my business was overblown with the gay population.
right, right,
And we were very strict on the additional driver fee. I had a manager come to me and said, Mr. Wells, what do I do? And what are you talking about? He said, they insist they're married. Well, I said, it's illegal. This is way back.
yeah,
And they say, well, they're in a domestic partnership and they refuse to pay. And I looked out the window and I saw these people with feathers in their hair and bandanas and shorts. Holy mackerel. I said, look, let it go. I
yeah,
don't want any arguments. I'm very happy. We're book solid. All
right, exactly,
All right, let's take the money.
right,
And let's don't argue with it. So we relaxed substantially on the gay population with that charge.
okay,
Okay, underage, again, enterprise is $25 a day on that. We're suggesting 15. Underage, enterprise again is 25. We're only suggesting 15. Here's one that's strictly an option to you, non-credit card fee or cash deposit rental. And you might get it in your own group.
mhm,
People, very good people who never bought into the credit card scene.
mhm,
All right. So they want to rent a car, but they don't have a credit card. And you would want to rent to them because you trust them completely. That's fine. That's your choice.
mhm,
Typically, a customer who doesn't have a credit card is very high risk. And I would suggest unless
Why
you,
is that?
pardon me?
Why is that?
Well, it tells you that they either cannot maintain credit or for some reason can't get it. Because today, everybody has a credit card.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, almost a homeless person could get a $500 limit on a credit card. So when they don't have a credit card, number one, your risk is much higher because you don't know about the credit history of the customer, and you don't know if the customer is trustworthy.
Mhm.
So you're going to be taking a risk. And if you do enough of this, you will find out it's extremely hard to service because you've got the low end customer and they just don't follow the rules that the upper end customer follows. Now, again, I said there are cases where some very good people don't have a credit card.
Mhm.
And it could be because of a divorce. It could be because of a business failure, or it could be a mature couple that just never bought into the credit card process. They're cash buyers. So it's your choice if you want to make those rentals.
I
But
would
I would
make a
suggest,
suggestion.
pardon
that
me?
I would make a suggestion if you want to get into the cash rental business. It's very profitable. It's a lot more work, a lot more risk. And I would not touch it until I'm in business for at least a year.
Mhm.
Right,
Okay.
absolutely.
So that you got some miles under your belt.
And also, something else that I'm just thinking about over here as well is that any credit card, any non-credit card customer, perhaps we even have a few older used cars, and those are the only ones that they can rent, because if they don't have a credit card and there is an accident or something or some damage, you can't just charge it to the credit card. You're basically going to have to run after them to try to get that money.
And that's why it's so important to verify everybody's insurance. Yes.
That's right. And, you know, you're going to do an occasional repossession.
Mhm.
What typically happens in a non-credit card rental is the customer is going to come back 3 or 4 days late and won't have the money to pay.
Mhm.
Going to come back late with empty tank of gas. And that's typical. That's not unusual. You got to plan on it.
Mhm.
There's going to be occasions when you're renting on cash deposit that you have to repossess a car. And it's not something that you can possibly think won't happen. It will happen.
Mhm.
And you got to be prepared for it. So if you are saying, and we have clients that do this, there's a client out in Arizona that runs about 1,000 cars to anybody who will walk up to the counter with $100
Mhm.
or whatever. And rents older cars to the lowest of the low customer. And after the interesting thing, and Jim was telling me what this guy said one time, after about a year's rental on a car, if it never comes back, he doesn't care. He's made his money.
Right. Right.
So,
True.
you know, there's a way of looking at it, but you know, the occasional business loss, the repossessions, it's a lot of work. We don't think you should start with that until you've been in business at least a year. However, I'm saying if you have 1 or 2 people that you truly want to rent to because you know them, go ahead.
Mhm.
All right. So anyhow, if we could go up one slide, let me finish the number there. If you used these averages or these numbers
Mhm.
and had a 20 car fleet, your option sales would be $4,900 a month,
Mhm.
or an extra $59,000 a year in pure profit, no
Mhm.
cost attached to this,
Mhm.
in a little 20 car fleet. Now, the last statement I want to make on that is this: there is not an option here. Everything on this list should be a company policy. And whoever is doing the rental should follow the company policy. And here it is. All right, if you want the RCP, it's 25 a day. If you want an authorized driver, happy to do it, 15 a day. Underage, absolutely, it's only 15 a day. No credit card, well, sir, I know you and your family, so we'll make an exception and rent to you without a credit card. That's worth at least $10 a day extra.
Are these options built into the contract to be able to select yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes, when you create your software, when you set up your software, you can put these in.
Yeah.
And then it'll just automatically, you just
Populate.
select them.
Okay. All right, any questions there, guys?
Nope.
Well, I
I'm
just
good.
came in,
Alright.
so I'll discuss what you just talked about with Steve beforehand later.
Right, Pacey, after this, either today or even next week, when we go over the review of all of the recordings, so we'll be able to discuss this in more detail based on what I already learned.
Okay, let's take a look at the third profit center. We finished number one, we finished number two. Your third profit center is the profit on unit sales. This, of course, is an estimate, but it is a good estimate based on experience. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our $18,000 car,
Mhm.
because it's close to what you're doing. You're allowed to take, IRS allows you to take straight line 5-year depreciation on that car, which converts to 20% per year.
Mhm.
So you can depreciate that car for tax purposes at 20% of the purchase price, or in this case, we had an 18,000 car, so we're going to take depreciation of $3,600 a month.
Mhm.
So you're not going to pay tax on the first 3,600 a month in revenue.
Mhm.
All right. Now that converts to, I'm sorry, that's a year. So that converts to 1.67% per month.
Mhm.
So the IRS is depreciating your car 1.67% per month. Any software program will allow you to set this up for yourself,
Mhm.
all right? And print it out anytime you want. And if you're using a bookkeeper or an accountant, tell them this is what you want. They'll come up with 200 different ways to depreciate, all of them wrong, except this, 5-year straight line.
Mhm.
Okay. We had a client, I believe it was yesterday. The accountant was telling him he could take 100% first year. And your accountant will probably tell you the same thing. Well, sounds good, doesn't it?
Mhm.
100% depreciation the first year. What's the problem? The problem is you will not show any profit the first year because depreciation wipes it out.
Mhm.
So if you want to show a profit to a bank or a finance company, you're not going to have it. You're just going to say, well, look, we over depreciated. The bank says, no, we don't want to listen to any of those stories. All right, the other thing is when you go to sell the car, all right, you've already taken 100% depreciation, but the car's worth 50%. You have a clawback on that depreciation. It's a recapture. So now when you go to sell the car, you've got to recapture that unearned depreciation, and you can't show a profit on the sale of the car. So you damage yourself on the first year and the last year when you take 100% depreciation in the first year. And accountants don't understand that because they don't understand the car rental business. They're assuming that formula assumes that you are buying a lathe. and it's gonna be bolted to the floor. And you're gonna own that lathe for 20 years, all right? So you take 100% depreciation, you don't care about the rest because it won't be worth a nickel when you're done with it anyhow.
Mhm.
Doesn't work that way in a car, all right? So we strongly suggest you take your straight line 20% that IRS allows you to do. So now we're gonna have your book value. This is the value of the car after its depreciation at any particular month, because your software will do this. So I've had the car for 10 months, my depreciation will be 3,000. So my book value would be 18,000 less 3, or $15,000.
Mhm.
All right, that's the depreciated balance on the car. However, in this particular case, we had an $18,000 car. We had it for 1 year. We took 3,600 in depreciation, which is 300 a month. So our book value now is 14,400. Now we got to look at unit payoff. If we finance the car, they took 2.5% principal payment. And that converts to 30% the first year.
Mhm.
So you paid that car down 30%. So at the end of the year, unit payoff on the right-hand side, you owed $12,600 on that car to DeVore Leasing or Pace Financial, all right? But the car was worth 14,400 on your books. Now, what do I price the car out to sell it? No less than 14,400. I want my book value. I'm not going to sell it for payoff. I'm going to sell it for book value. All right. And 99 times out of 100, we're spot on. All right. Because you're not going to have a car that depreciates 2.5% per month. The average car is going to depreciate about 1.2 to 1.3. All right. So you're going to have a book value that exceeds your payoff.
Mhm.
And when you sell it for book value, you pick up 14,400, you're going to give Pace 12,600. So you made yourself, what did we make in cash profit? I
1800.
can't see it.
1800.
Jim.
What did you need?
We had 14,400. We
Right.
sold it for 12,600. What is our profit on that sale?
1800.
That's right. So we made $1,800 on that car on the sale. Now you and Pace argue over who gets it. All right. I strongly suggest that the car rental should get a percentage of it, as should DeVore Leasing or Pace Financial. You get me?
Casey, that's in a scenario where I discussed earlier with Jim and David about one of the things we discussed on Tuesday in reference to opening up another company that would act as the financing arm for the cars that will then lease them to Devo Group, DBA Your Drive.
Right.
So this is the scenario that David's referring to.
No, I got that. I got that. Because I don't know what the result was of that discussion. You'll fill me in later, so.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and the value is that your leasing company would pick up 6 or 8% on the money, which is a good return today.
Right.
You could also charge a set fee. So it could be $460 a month plus a $45 fee per car.
Right.
You can set that up so that your leasing company is profitable,
Right.
and you allow your rental company to be profitable. You take the tax advantages on both sides, all right? you eliminate the bridge from the rental company to the finance company. Because the finance company has no clue what the rental company's doing.
Right.
And you can put yourself on salary on both. And it's very easy to get rid of the taxable profit on the leasing company.
Now, if we wanted to raise funds in the future by going to a bank, are we approaching the bank from the financing arm or from the car rental arm?
You would approach the bank from a finance arm with a built-in customer,
Mhm,
all right?
mhm.
Much like if you were going to try to finance an apartment building, they would want to see that 80% of the apartment building is occupied,
Right.
all right? So this is basically the same thing. You want, and they're gonna see that the setup is rather intelligent.
Mhm.
They understand this stuff. They're not stupid people. So you show them the finance arm with a built-in client.
Mhm.
If they would prefer to finance the rental company, you can certainly discuss that.
Mhm.
But I don't think that's gonna be the case.
Mhm. Okay.
So again, I wasn't privy to the conversation with regards to the different companies and how to go about it. I just want to make sure, Steve, again, obviously you'll fill me in later. But was the steps with regards to the insurance and the registration discussed? Is it similar to like me as a regular person going to lease a car through a leasing company? And then I'm the one who's insuring it and registering it, and that's the scenario?
We
Or
did
is the
not,
finance, or is the
did not
finance company?
discuss that. Yeah, we
Oh.
didn't discuss that yet. That's something we're gonna do offline. Because we're trying to stay focused on the.
Yeah,
rental.
I figured, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
move on.
Okay, so there is your depreciation, your book value, and your unit payoff, and any software program will provide this information for you once you plug in the formula.
Mhm.
So if you want to know what my book value is on my cars, you hit a button and bang, there it is.
Okay.
And
You can
your
do that.
software will calculate that for you every month.
That's right. All right. And you just throw it to your bookkeeper and that's it.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's take a look at the approximate prices and depreciation. We're not going to spend any time on that because that's not where you're at. Next slide. I'm sorry, if we sold those 20 cars on this metric, all right, we would pick up, the book value would be 190,000. The payoff would be 166.6. We would pick up another 23,800 in profit on that sale. Now, we're not going to sell all 20 at the same time. We're going to sell a few here, a few there after we get our 24 months of revenue worth whatever number you have decided on. But when all 20 are sold, you've got a 23,008 profit in the deal. All right. So that is your third profit center. Right. Any questions on that?
No, I'm good. I'm sure Pacey has, but they'll be answered when I do a review with them.
All right. So approximate value, all that of the cars, we're going to skip over that. You're not there. That's for our little 20 car fleet. Can we really buy a car for 8,000? Yes, you can. Even today, maybe you raise it to 9, but you can do it. All right, so now let's forget that. And we're going to now talk about return on investment. And this is quite interesting, but you should know your return on your investment in this business. and understand how we do it. We're gonna take our $8,000 car, and that's because we picked on the cheapest one. And that's where a lot of our clients were until very recently. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna take a look at the return on investment if we finance a car. And we're gonna compare that to if we pay cash for the car.
Mhm.
And as you know, I'm gonna say in advance, you don't pay cash for something that depreciates. You pay cash for something that appreciates,
Mhm.
but we can make money on both sides. Now, let me show you. So we bought a car for $8,000. And coming to the right, our payment at 3% of the purchase price would be $240 a month. So the total payment for the first year would be $2,800. Now that car was generating monthly revenue of $800 a month, 10% of the purchase price, for total revenue for the year of $9,600. Okay. The return on the investment was 233%. Why? You did not pay $8,000 for that car. You paid $2,800 because the cost of a rental car is not the purchase price, it's the monthly expense. So you laid out $2,800 to collect $9,600. So your return on your investment was 233%.
Mhm.
Okay. So now let's go down. Let's say you paid cash. All right, $8,000. Monthly payment, 0. I didn't have any monthly payment. Cool. Good for you. All right, but your cost on that car in the year was $8,000
Mhm.
because you laid out $8,000. Now that $8,000 came back to you at $800 a month,
Right.
10% of the purchase price. So you got the same $9,600
Mhm.
back in that year, but you laid out $8,000 to get it.
Mhm.
So your return on your investment was only 20%.
Mhm.
Now, 20% is not bad. All right, a lot of companies would die to get 20%. But if the car was financed, you'd be getting 233%. So why give up 213% by paying cash? Now, let's go the cash. And I used to have this argument with people quite often. Not so much anymore. So now let's go back to, and the cash buyer said, well, wait a minute, it all works out a year 2.
Mhm.
All right. So Dave, you don't know what you're talking about because year 2, it works out. And okay, let's take a look. So let's go back up to the top. Year 2, I still had a monthly payment of $240. For the total of 2 years, I've laid out $5,760 for that car. I brought in my $800 a month. So I have brought in $19,200 on that car, but I only laid out $5,760. I still have not laid out $8,000 on that car. So my return on my investment is consistent at 233%. Because I only laid out $5,760 to collect $19,002. And we're just talking about monthly revenue. We're not talking about option sales or anything that go on top of it. Okay. All right, let's go down to the bottom. And we're saying we're going to get to this cash buyer. And you say, look, Dave, this is where I got you. Ha ha. You're an idiot. I don't care how many years you've been doing this. You're stupid. All right, cool. I'm married. I understand it. All right. All right, so we're gonna go to year 2, and the cash buyer didn't lay out any money. Cool, no monthly payments. He brought in the same $800 a month that the other guy did. He brought in the same 19,200. But what happened? He has laid out $8,000 for that 19,002.
Mhm.
Now that did up his return on the investment to 140%.
Mhm.
Congratulations. But if we go back to the top, the other guy still only laid out 5760 for the 19,002.
Mhm.
So he's still at 233%. The cash buyer is at 140 at the end of 2 years. So you see, there's really not a problem in the car rental business with paying interest on a car. Nobody, none of the big boys buy cars for cash.
So who
For
are we
us in the
also-
beginning.
Huh?
Except for us at the beginning.
Well, a lot of operators do that. And I'm not telling you that you're doing anything wrong. Don't misunderstand me.
Right.
I'm showing you the metric and how this stuff works.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, obviously, yeah.
We have a lot of operators that do start on cash, and that's wonderful. What you have to do is very simple. Let me finish this one. Now, at the end of 2 years, we're going to sell that car and replace it. All right. So down at the bottom left, I have only depreciated that car 1% per month, and it should have been 1.5. We're going to sell that car for $6,800. But I got to go buy another $8,000 car. And I might have to pay $8,500 because it's 2 years later.
Mhm.
But assuming I could get a car for $8,000, my payoff was 68, or my collected 68. I need to come up with another $1,200 somewhere.
Mhm.
So now what happens year 3? Year 3, when you started, you have now had to lay out 9,200 for an $8,000 car. Because you paid the first 8. Now you've got to come up with cash, another 1,200 to replace it. So you're in that car, 9,200. The guy who's financing just keeps making his monthly payment.
Mhm.
And he's starting year 3. He's only laid out 5760. You're now up to 9,200. Okay. Now, how do you get around this a bit in your particular scenario? What you want to do is make sure that you establish a depreciation amount per month and set that money aside every single month, or send it to Pace Financial. Even though it's your car, your money, blah, blah, blah. No, every month I'm going to make a payment to Pace Financial of, let's say, 2% or 2.5%, whatever you come up with, of the purchase price of that car. And I strongly suggest 3%. All right. That way, all right, Pace Financial will have the money to finance or buy the next cars.
Correct.
They're getting their money back every month. They're getting their interest. They're getting their fees. All right. They're setting aside money in the leasing company, and everybody's going to have the money to replace the cars when they need to be replaced. And that's how it should work. We had a customer not to take forever. We had a client, face to face, had been in business a while, dad financed him, paid cash for the cars, did wonderful, had like a 30 or 40 car fleet. Never set aside anything for depreciation. And his cars got older and more beat up, and the only way he could keep them on rent was to reduce the rate. It got to the point where they were beaters and he had no money and he was facing bankruptcy. He actually went through our class in our classroom that we used to do. He was actually crying. All right. And all because he didn't handle cash purchase, and dad had no more money to finance it. Okay, let's take a look now at what we call a pro forma. I don't know if you're familiar with the pro forma. I've lived by them all my life. We're going to talk about expense categories first, and then we're going to build a pro forma, probably for you. And what are the categories? When you turn this over to a bookkeeper or an accountant, all right, they will come up with a 20-page P&L, 5-page P&L. And primarily, they do it because they want you to think they're really doing something. But in fact, a good car rental operator can do it on a napkin in a restaurant, right? So I'm being facetious, but what are the basic categories you need to build a 1 or 1.5 page P&L? First off, your unit expense, which is depreciation, interest, registration, etc. Some operators will use in fleet cost, unit expense, their depreciation only, and some will use the actual cash payment. I use the cash payment, but I've seen both. That's up to you. Jim uses depreciation. Your direct vehicle expense would be maintenance, repairs, gas, oil, tires. We're going to plan this in advance, guys. We're not going to go into business and then see what happens.
Mhm.
All right, your variable operating expense would be your insurance, your shuttling, parking fees, occupancy, rent, telephone, building maintenance, personnel, payroll taxes, benefits to hired people, not yourself at this point in time. Sales expense, advertising, marketing, web charges, credit card fees, G&A, office supplies, equipment expense, all other. This is where you neuter the dog and call it a security device.
Mhm.
All right. These are the basic categories, very simple to do. And now we're going to take a look at what we call a pro forma. A pro forma is nothing more than a profit loss statement in advance. Most operators don't do it. I understand that completely. I had to live by it. When you're running a corporation, you live by a pro forma. How did that work? Well, I was vice president of operations. I'm the guy that brought in all the money. So I would do a pro forma and submit it to the CFO, who would then review it and submit it to the CEO. With that pro forma, they would plan their financial dealings for the next month, because this was done in advance. And they planned everything financially because Wells said, this is what we're going to do. Now, when the month ended and they put together the P&L beta, the first format, within the first week, I was expected to come in within 5% of what my pro forma told them I would do. And they would say, Dave, you generated your numbers. So how the hell can you come in, worse than 5% of numbers you generated?
Mhm.
So if I couldn't come in within 5%, what value did I have to the company? Because now they have to alter their finance plans because I couldn't do what I told them I was gonna do. So I lived with this for 40 years. So I strongly suggest you do this if you only do it once, and we're gonna do it today. All right. Now, let's take to start with your business. Okay, Jim?
Yep.
You want to use our sample, or should we do one for them personally?
I would do our sample so that they get the calculations. I'm
Okay,
doing it with a 20-car fleet.
all right. So now looking to the upper left, we're on our 20-car fantasy fleet, which is bringing in substantially less money than you will, of 23,008. That means their revenue per unit, very important number, came in at 1190 per car per month on rate alone. So
How many days a month is that?
Pardon me?
24.
24.
24?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so now option sales came in at 4960. So our total revenue for our 20-car fleet was 28,760. And if you look to the left, that converts to a revenue per unit of $1,438 per month. So when Jim first talked to you, he told you, hey guys, I'm going to show you how to make $1,400 a month per car. There it is, right there. Now, again, you're going to do better than that. Because remember, we're renting cars for $37 a day
Mhm.
on our averages on the sample we gave you. Okay, so now coming down, what's going to be the unit expense? We've already calculated our monthly payment on this. And our monthly payments on this is $71.40 per month. And there we go. So plug in unit expense of $71.40 because that's already in the sample. Now, direct vehicle expense, and we're going to do this for you. Direct vehicle expense. What would that be? Maintenance, repairs, gas, oil, tires. How much would you put in a car to keep it running for 2 years, Steve?
For the first year, the only thing that you would really need is oil changes.
Yeah,
The second year, you might need brakes and tires, I guess, depending
Right.
on what kind of wear and
Right.
tear you have on it. And
Right.
then your cleaning expenses as well.
yeah.
So if we figure a set of tires is how much? Set of tires has got to be in a regular car, 600.
Right.
Okay. So we got 600 there. So let's divide that out by 24.
Yep.
Who's got their calculator?
Here.
I do.
Okay.
That's
600
25.
divided by 24.
So that's $25.
There you go.
Per car.
Per car. We got $25 for tires. Let's assume an oil and filter change every 2 months.
So that's like what, $35 now?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
35
So you have 12 of them.
36 is 210. 210 divided by 24 is 875. So we're at 3375.
Okay. Brakes.
Brakes are about also approximately, I would say for all four, about $600, $700.
So we're looking at another $25.
Mm-hmm. So we're at 58.
$58.75.
So what do we got?
$58.75.
$83.75.
50.
We got $25 for tires, $25 for brakes. And then the
Right,
30
sorry, right, correct, yeah. I don't know why my calculator did that. 83.75, yes.
But I think we got oil and filter change too high. Because it's about $35 and we're gonna do 12 of them.
So 35 times 12 is 420 divided by 24.
Divided by 12, we're only gonna do 12.
It's 35 divided by 24 is $1.45 a day.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. So divided by the 420. My mind is not working and I don't have a calculator here.
Okay, we said $35 for an oil change every
We
2
do 12
months,
of them.
every 2 months.
Yep.
You're gonna
Right.
do 12 of those in 2 years.
So you're gonna do, we're doing it by 1 year or by 2 years?
2 years.
Oh, we're doing it by 2 years.
Well, which means you're
Now,
gonna do
this is, we're
12.
gonna come down to a monthly expense is what we're
Right.
trying to get, Steve.
So you're gonna
Okay.
have 12 oil changes over 2 years
So that's $420,
divided by 24.
24 is $17.50.
There, that makes more sense.
So $17.50 plus 50 is $67.50.
Okay, so if we decide that's what our cost is gonna be, 67.50,
Actually, 67 is the national average.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
times 20. We got a 20-car fleet.
It's $13.50.
Okay, so you want to plan 1350 for maintenance of your cars.
Mhm.
Okay, variable operating is your insurance. You have an insurance quote.
It was $140 a month, I think, or 140.
104, 145.
Right. So 145 times 20.
2,900.
Okay. That's 2,900 for your insurance. And shuttling, parking fees. Do you have any of that?
Probably
No,
not,
we ha-
not in the first year for sure.
No, we just have rent of 3,500 per month.
Yeah. Okay, occupancy. What are you gonna pay for rent for this car rental company?
3,500 a month.
All right. Personnel. Who's gonna do the work?
So
And I'm telling you, you say you will, right. The first time you go wash a car in the snow, be the last time. Or the middle of August, all right? Either one. You're
So
gonna be
then-
looking, you're gonna be
Then that,
looking,
then that expense has to be added to the direct vehicle expense.
well, no, it's personnel.
Personnel, you gotta have somebody to physically do it.
That's if we don't do, that's if we don't outsource it.
That's right.
Even
You
if
could
you-
outsource it.
But at the beginning, we're not going to be outsourcing it. At the beginning, we will be outsourcing it.
right.
Okay, so if you're outsourcing, there's a cost.
Right, so does that go under direct vehicle? Or does that still go under personnel?
It goes
I would
under
put that
personnel.
under G&A or miscellaneous.
Yeah, you could put it anywhere, but I like the idea of personnel, but wait a minute. If you go in personnel, you got to deal with payroll taxes and all that.
Right.
And you don't have that if you're outsourcing. So yeah, G&A. See, the thing with this is you don't want to get your unit expense or your direct vehicle expense all muddied up with a bunch of other stuff. All right? Because you won't have an accurate number.
Right.
All right, and it'll change. So we go down to G&A, where G&A can have some funny stuff. It's normal. All right, and your outsourcing might stop at any point in time.
Right.
Correct.
That's my suggestion.
And
Okay,
that's
so
what we did.
personnel,
We were
personnel-
running 450 cars in California, and we just cut deals with the local car wash because
Right.
we couldn't clean cars. We were 6 of the 7 locations were in hotels, so we had to run them down the street.
Right.
But you gotta have somebody to run the car through the car wash. You gotta have who's gonna do the rental? Who's gonna actually make the rental to the customer?
So that'll be a guy on salary, let's say 100,000, like we discussed yesterday in the meeting yesterday, Casey.
So
So,
you're gonna have a guy on salary to do the rental itself.
right, so,
100,000? When can I start?
so it's eight, let's say it's 8,333 a month.
Okay, throw it in.
It's in.
All right, sales and marketing.
We're not gonna really have a very high budget for that because a lot of it is going to be referrals, word of mouth. Maybe we'll do some minimal advertising. We're not going to need social marketing today.
Okay.
So I would say
Right now, we're budgeting about $300 a month in advertising.
Good.
Okay, 300. G&A.
Okay, so if we're going to be putting in the maintenance, is there an average, first of all, an average rental? We're assuming based on the market that we're going to be renting to, the average rental is about 2 weeks.
Nationwide, the national average is 4.5 days per rental.
Okay, so let's use that even. Let's use the national average.
Okay.
So 4.5 days, and it has to be cleaned in between each one.
Right.
So you have 24 rental days divided by 4.5 is 5.3 washes
Right.
or 5.3 cycles per month. So you have 5.3 washes, and the average car wash, if we arrange a contract with someone local.
I haven't got my car washed in a while, so I have no idea how much it costs to do a detail.
I mean, to do a detail with a vacuum and a wash, it can cost, typically it can cost like $19 or $16 or $19. So if we're going to strike a deal with someone local, maybe we can get it down to 12 or 15,
10.
10.
You can get
Okay.
it down to 10.
So
10 to
10,
12.
so that would
Because
be,
you can drop the cars off and you'll find that you should be able to get it done for 10 to 12.
okay, so that's 5 cycles per
$50.
month. That's $53 a month times 20
Right.
is 1,060. So that's just the maintenance. What else goes into the G&A?
Yeah. No, I misunderstood. I don't see a problem with putting that in variable operating expense. Do you, Jim?
No.
It's unimportant at this point, but I have no problem with that in variable operating.
So
But
that
we
would-
can leave it here for now. All right, what else?
Well, just, we missed also, we missed under sales and marketing, the credit card fees.
Yeah,
So I'm showing probably about $700 a month in credit card fees.
okay. Yeah, it's gonna be 3% of the 28, so you're right in there, 700. So now.
That becomes 1,000 from 3.
Right. All right, anything else? Miscellaneous office supplies?
Gonna have a
Just,
computer.
I think initially, we're just basically gonna be buying some equipment. There's gonna be very little supplies.
But then you have your monthly recurring fees for the software.
Right, you're gonna have the software,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have your internet, and you're gonna have your telephone expense. That can go under general or under miscellaneous.
Right.
I
It's
believe,
gonna be G&A.
yes, I'm just
Right.
wanting to see, I wanna see where, how do I get hold on one second. I wanna find my sheet.
But you got, web charges, you're gonna have a website?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find what
I think you'll see that your miscellaneous will be about 450.
Now, as far as some additional G&A, for example, the quote that I had gotten for, whether we use the software company that you're recommending, which has a lower fee, but even somebody like TSD, they're about $250 a month.
Well, Tia,
Not per
Tia-
vehicle, that's overall.
I know, I don't, it's up to you guys. I think TSD is a wonderful system. I think it's too much for you. In my opinion.
I agree.
It could- yes.
Because there's too many others that are as good as you're ever going to need
Right.
that are substantially less expensive.
Okay, that's a very good point. It's actually something I had been thinking about.
Yeah.
When I did the demo with him, there was a lot of stuff in there that I knew we're not going to need.
That's right.
So the point of paying for things that we're not going to need is a very good point.
That's
One
right.
of the things, one of the software guys that we recommend is $419 and $79 a month.
Which company was that again?
Rentware.
Rentware, okay.
So right now I'm budgeting for utilities, et cetera, and monthly recurring fees for software programs. I'm at somewhere between 440 and 450 a month.
Yeah, okay,
And
all
I plugged in 450 in miscellaneous.
right.
Yeah, but you took out the credit card. Where'd you put the credit card?
Let's put the credit card right here.
Either that or back in sales and marketing where you originally had it described, but whatever you want.
Yeah, we're just throwing it in. So you guys are gonna do this on your own every month.
Okay,
fine.
that's fine.
All right, let's add it up.
7140, 1350, 2900, 3500.
I'm going to Walmart
Okay,
and Dollar Tree
thank you.
and a couple. Is there anything you need?
No,
25,733.
Good.
Right. So your total expenses are 25,733. So now what is our profit or loss?
3,027.
Okay. So you've got a profit of $3,027. Now, our target, if you'll remember, is 1/3 for fleet cost, 1/3 for overhead, and 1/3 for profit. So let's take a look at this. We had 28,760. We want our unit expense at 1/3.
Mhm.
So if we take a look at our vehicle expense, 7140, we come in beautifully. Right?
Mhm.
But if we go down to the bottom, we've got total expenses of 25,733, which is almost equal to revenue.
Mhm.
We got an issue there.
Oh, yeah.
And down at the bottom, we only have a $3,000 profit on sales, so you've only got a 12% profit here.
Mhm.
So now where are we going to go to pick our profit up to 33%?
There's
Yes.
only one
This-
place to do it.
There's only
This-
one place to do it, personnel, yeah. We're gonna have
This
to
is
revisit
what
that.
the pro forma does for you.
Yeah,
So you know now, when you have a 20-car fleet generating the money that we showed on the sample, and you had this cost structure, you know in advance what you're looking at.
right. Now, this is also based on the 20-car fleet of the economy cars at $8,000.
Correct. You're gonna do substantially better, but when?
And the
In other words,
interesting,
now we want to say, okay, we're not gonna do 28,760 the first month, or the second month, or the third month, because we only have 2, 3, 4, 5 cars.
Mhm.
So you can start doing a pro forma per month
Mhm.
and see when you're going to start showing a profit.
Mhm.
You got me? And any spreadsheet on any software program will do it.
Mhm.
You can get Excel spreadsheet on your laptop and do this.
Right.
All right. And that's the value of this. And you should know in advance, and you should say, okay, Pace, look at the spreadsheet. If we do this, we're going to generate this on month 7. You get me?
Mhm.
And that's where you want to look at it.
I'm gonna do something here just for funsies. Double the fleet.
Right,
So we're gonna double the fleet. We're gonna double the revenue using these low numbers. So let's get out your calculator. Let's double this number. We're gonna have 40 cars now.
Right? We got 57,520 in revenue.
Okay? And we're gonna double our unit expense because we got more cars.
14,280.
And the direct vehicle expense is gonna double.
2,700.
Variable operating expense,
5,800.
Yeah, that was yeah, okay.
occupancy expense
7.
Stays the same.
stays the same.
Oh, that's the rent, right?
Personnel expense,
Stays the same.
Stays the same.
sales and marketing,
Stays the
Stays
same.
the same.
1760 for G and A and 450 for miscellaneous. That remains the same.
Well, the
No, I mean-
1760 actually changes because of the credit cards.
Okay.
So let's add another 700. So that's 2,300.
No, but it'll actually double because it also includes the maintenance, the cleaning of
Let's
the
double
cars.
it then.
So it was 1760, so it's 1540, 1520,
No, 3520.
3520.
Okay. Add it up.
My calculator just went loony.
38, 883.
And from 57,520.
18,637.
So by doubling the fleet, doing the low rates that we've been playing with, doubling the expenses in most cases, except for the hard expenses, we went up another $15,000 in profit.
Mhm.
So you went from 3,000 profit to 18,006.
Mhm.
And you're
Profit.
still paying out $100,000 in salaries.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew that, Steve, that
When
the
can I-
more
when
cars
can
we
I be
have, the
there,
better
guys?
off we are.
Right.
All right, now remember, that's only the first 2 profit centers. We
Yeah.
have a third profit center. And the third profit center is vehicle sales. And when you sell those cars on our little 20 car format, we had a $23,800 profit on vehicle sales. Remember 23.8. Now it won't come all in the same month, remember. But
Right.
when they're sold, this profit comes to you,
Right.
23,800 for the year.
So take the 23,800 and divide it by 12.
Right.
Yeah.
Or actually, yeah, by take the 23, yeah, by 12, sorry.
So that's 1983.
All right, so total it up.
1,867. 20,620.
Okay, that's your possible profit on this little car, this little fleet.
Mhm.
20,000 a month. Actually 18,600 a month. Now, if you were able to hire somebody who would actually get up and work for a little less than 100,000,
Mhm.
right? I'm sure there's somebody out there. You start trimming that overhead.
That's right.
Because again, your target, now maybe you can't do it, but your target should be that overhead doesn't exceed 33% of your revenue,
Mhm.
all right?
So what's 33% of 57,520?
17,256.
All right, there's where you gotta start trimming.
That's where we got to trim.
Now, understand, you're gonna run your business, not us. Let's say that you had this was actual numbers. And let's say you're satisfied with the 18,006 per month. Fine. Enjoy.
Mhm.
Yeah, because you paid yourselves $8,333 a month in salaries.
Mhm.
And at the end of the month, you had 18,600 profit.
Mhm.
As the owners of the company, that goes against the owner's draw.
And again, these are all at the low rental rates.
That's right. So
Bingo.
if you had 20 or 40 cars at the rates that you're able to charge,
Right,
all the revenue goes sky high.
right,
Now,
And your
Paige.
cost, you've already estimated your cost.
right.
Now, you could beat up any one number, but that's not the purpose. The idea is to show you the overall. And if something is amiss on the 30, 30, 33, 33, 33, that's where you want to look at it.
Mhm.
All right. Because again, I don't know if Pace was there, you want to set up the business where you got 33% fleet cost, 33% overhead, 33% profit in your pocket. That's the way we set up a car rental company.
Mhm.
And by using this matrix of plugging in 10% monthly revenue of the purchase price of the car,
Mhm.
these numbers will all flow down to that P&L.
Mhm.
There's that $21,000 car, $2,100 monthly revenue, $630 is the value payment.
Mhm.
And monthly gross profit is 1470
Mhm.
for a yearly gross profit of 17,640 contribution to overhead
Mhm.
for that one $21,000 car.
Right.
Holy cow.
And you see ours on the matrix that he's showing you, we even start with an economy car that only brings in 6720.
Right.
You can say, so your fleet is going to come in probably $1,000 per month higher
Mhm.
than anything we've shown you.
Right.
All right. But you want to set this up in advance, guys. That's the key issue.
And use these calculations. As you go out, look at your minivans, your SUVs, your full-size cars, what kind of cars you're going to need, and then plug in what it's going to cost you to buy those cars.
Mhm.
And then what your monthly revenue is going to be,
Mhm.
and then what your payment's going to be, because you got to pay for it.
Mhm.
And then you'll get your monthly gross profit, which is this minus your payment.
Mhm.
Very simple.
Mhm.
And your payment is basically 3% of what you paid.
Right.
And all kidding aside, that's a good way to set up the holding company to feed the rental car company.
Mhm.
Holy cow. How does it go? Holy mackerel, Andy. I'm dating myself. I love that show.
Let me do just a quick calculation because I've got it in my mind.
Okay.
I want to go out and buy a minivan. No, I'm gonna go buy a minivan. Now, I'm gonna take a look at the competition and see what kind of rates they're getting on a minivan. And right now, I'm in the process of buying a car. All right. So I'm looking at Enterprise and they're getting $165 a day for a Chrysler Pacifica minivan. So I'm going to say, how many days am I going to rent that? And I'm going to pull out of the air 21.
Mhm.
We can argue that and say 24, we could say 15, I'm gonna say 21, that's an educated guess.
Yep.
So I'm going to be able to get 21 times 165. Which is how much per month?
$34.65.
3465 is gonna be my monthly income, my
Mhm.
monthly revenue. I can buy a car for 10 times that.
Mhm. And that's pretty much spot on what the minivans are running today, about
That's
34,
right. So I can
35,000.
go buy a $35,000 minivan. I
Mhm.
cannot afford a $55,000 minivan.
Right,
Get me? Because your monthly revenue target should be 10% of the purchase price of the car
right,
to hold into our 33, 33, 33.
right.
So once I establish what daily rate I can get times the rental days I think I can get, gives me my target revenue times 10.
Right,
Now I'm in the car rental, I'm in the car purchasing market.
right.
What can I buy for 35,000? You already answered the question. We're right there.
Mhm.
This is how you buy cars. All right. You know in advance what you can pay for a car based on what classification you're going to put it in
Mhm.
and what rate you can get.
Mhm.
You see it?
Yep.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Casey,
Now-
we're gonna have to review this, this entire class. Once Jim posts it,
Yep.
we should go over it again. With the worksheets that Jim had sent out a couple on Monday as well. We should review this while it's still fresh in our mind.
Absolutely.
Now I want you to take a look at what I just ran on the NADA. This is a 2020 30,000 mile Dodge Caravan,
Mhm.
Chrysler Pacifica, same vehicle.
Same thing.
And there's wholesale trade-in right there, between 29 and 30.
Mhm.
So average trade-in, you can buy those at the auction for 29,000.
Mhm.
So that fits right into that category. And it's a 30,000 mile vehicle. And with all the toys necessary, it's a 7-passenger. It fits into that scenario. So now we need to get our 10% is 2,900 a month, right, David?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So at 2,900 a month, divide that by 21 days,
$138 per day.
and your competition is getting 160,
Mhm.
195.
195. Sorry about
Oh,
that.
no, yeah, 195. I'm sorry, you're right, 165.
165, right.
There you go.
I'm looking at too many numbers.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So as you can see, this all fits into those scenarios.
Mhm.
We're on the bewitching hour. It is 11:30.
Okay,
I will fix the ability to read yesterday's program.
yeah,
Make sure that's taken care of. And our next
Tomorrow.
meeting is tomorrow.
yes, 9:30, same time,
9:30.
same bat time, same bat channel.
Same bad time, same bad channel. I like it.
Very good.
Thank you. Pace, sorry to
thank you,
hear where
gentlemen.
you had to go this morning.
Sorry?
I'm sorry to hear where you had to go this morning, but
Yeah, a very, very good friend of mine's father was passed away and I had to go to the funeral, so.
the older we get, the more funerals we attend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So,
I just hope mine's the last one.
The
Right. Yeah.
last one that you have to attend.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you, man.
Have a
All right,
great
have a
day.
great
guys.
day, gentlemen.
Great day.
All right, guys, bye-bye.
David.
Have you stopped recording?